Hello, crypto aficionados, and we're going to look at some scandalous crypto news today that could affect your investment. Let's actually look at the FTX and Tether case first. Yes, contrary to popular belief that the FTX fallout can't affect crypto anymore because it already has, there is revelation now that FTX minted almost 40% of all Tether. And that is a big, big problem, people, because Tether is used as liquidity for a lot of crypto, obviously. And of course, FTX's printed Tether is probably no longer backed well because, FTX is dead. How do we know this? We actually do have on-chain data. And this could actually be quite troubling. Now, will this cause Tether to collapse? Probably not. But we do have to keep an eye on this. On-chain data from Twitter shows that Alameda Research was responsible for minting 39.55 billion of USDT. And for those of you that are confused, I'm using FTX and Alameda interchangeably because they're both owned by SBF and their funds were commingled. A previous report by Protos estimated the number at around 36.7 billion. I was able to update these figures with additional wallets found. The amount of minted USDT was higher than Alameda's AUM at crypto peak, according to SBF data. Getting a read on redemptions is challenging, partly because Tether seems to do off-chain coordination of burns. If we assume all USDT redemptions from FTX were made from Alameda and not another which I think is a good assumption, then there is actually a big problem. Now, obviously, they minted nearly $40 billion worth of Tether. You can see Tether's market cap is basically only $83 billion. So that's almost half of Tether's market cap that could possibly be unsupported. Now, that doesn't mean Tether hasn't done things to address it. If you remember, Tether had a series of burns last year, which they might have actually burned a lot of the FTX mint off, but probably not all of it. So there could be a substantial amount of basically unsupported Tether at this point. So if there was a big redemption event going on right now where someone tried to redeem all the Tether, they might not be able to redeem. Now, I'm still okay with Tether so far at this point because they were able to redeem 16 billion without a problem. But if people wanted to redeem 40 billion or more at that time, they might have actually had a problem because FTX printed so much. They were supposed to back Tether with dollars, and as we know, FTX didn't really have the backing because you know why? Because Carolyn Ellison lost all that money trading a leverage without stop losses, which made many people think that she was hot for some reason. But all she did was basically lose all the customers' money. And she testified that in court. There was a long testimony where Carolyn Ellison said Sam Bankman-Fried and her directed the loss of $14 billion in customer funds to actually uphold basically FTX and Alameda Research. And that's where that big hole came from. And that's why the company went kaput eventually. So this has all been admitted into court. But obviously we don't have the full scale of Tether's dealings, and we don't really know how much they did deal or how much they didn't deal. That's still up in the air. And how much of FTX's stuff they eventually burned. We don't know any of that stuff. There could still be $20-30 billion of Tether out there that's unsupported, and that's troubling. Now, of the 80 billion Tether, that means 60 billion is probably supported, if that theory holds true. So most of it's still supported, and unless everyone cashes out Tether at the same time, I don't think it's going to be problematic. But there is a hole, and they will have to recover it fairly quickly, hopefully before the next bull run. So there are cracks in Tether's foundation because of FTX, and of course, Tether's CEO was seen shaking hands with FTX at certain events. So FTX was actually one of Tether and Bitfinex's biggest customers, and they did actually use Tether to move money around. And some of the Tether is probably unsupported because of that. So you can't really trust the 100% backing. Tether has been audited before by outside parties, but I don't know if they ever had a full audit. And that was probably before all this FTX stuff. So they might be trying to hide something right now. So stay weary of that. I don't think it's going to cause the collapse of the crypto market, but it is something that we need to pay close attention to because it is a big deal in the crypto world if a large part of Tether is actually unsupported. Because the Fed's been going after them. And if the Fed actually finds this out, it could actually mean big trouble for crypto. That's assuming all of this is real. But it is real that they probably printed $40 billion worth of Tether from FTX. It's just that have they actually kind of solved that problem within the last year and a half since FTX fell apart? And that part we don't really know. Justin Sun is also counterfeiting stablecoins, and this might point to trouble for Huobi. So if you look at this, Justin Sun accused of wash trading on Huobi with fake stablecoins. I am not surprised. This is Justin Sun we're actually talking about. And this is from Coinpedia. Basically, he's accused of using these coins for wash trading on HTX or Huobi. Since Binance has lost the good graces of many countries, Huobi and OKX have been the two major beneficiaries. And what they're accusing him of doing is they're basically accusing him of transfer fake. Basically, they're swapping USDT deposits for STUSD without users noticing, transferring fake stablecoins for USDC and USDT to increase his USD liquidity. So he's trying to increase his liquidity by minting fake coins. Obviously, this is a crime. He's been accused of it. It hasn't been found out yet. But knowing it's Justin Sun, I'm going to guess there's an 80% chance this is actually true. And so I am very, very weary of this too. I don't think it's a big enough amount to affect the entire market. But if you're using Huobi, you might think about not using Huobi and using something else, because there are concerns that there's a $2.4 billion hole for Huobi, and that's not a hole that Justin Sun can fill that easily. So you might want to watch out for that. So if you have your funds on Huobi, I would definitely get your funds out of Huobi at this point and use another exchange, because Huobi's financials do not look very sound, and their head, Justin Sun, has been accused of essentially fraud. So take that as what you will. I would find another trading exchange that's not Huobi at this point. I also want to talk about why Caspa is dumping today. As you can see on Live Coin Watch, Caspa is dumping more than other coins. Other coins, as you can see on Live Coin Watch, have dumped 1%, 2%, 3%. Most of these under 3%. But KAS, as you can see here, has dumped 6.71%. And that's it started going up a little bit this month, this hour. It was down 9% to 4.2, and it actually dipped below 4 for a little while. Why is that? Well, it's because of the war in Israel and Gaza, because KAS happens to be stationed in Israel. Now, is Israel winning the war against Hamas right now? Yes, because Israel has much better military. But here's the thing. It doesn't really matter if your country's winning or not or losing or not. If your country is involved in a war, generally your crypto or business in that country, unless you're in the war industry, where Kaspa obviously is not, is going to go down. So expect Kaspa to perform worse than the rest of the crypto market during this time where Israel's on emergency watch against Hamas. Fortunately for us, there are no Hamas sponsored cryptos, at least not that I'm aware of. That's actually very big. But Caspa might be taking a hit recently, right now, because of the whole Hamas thing. And that brings us to Israel actually seizing Hamas crypto accounts. Now, some people on Twitter have been saying, it's crypto. How do they know they belong to Hamas? For those people, I have to say, we need to stop pretending that crypto cannot be tracked. Monero might be very hard to track, but for other cryptos, they're not untrackable. And I'm sure those accounts were actually being commandeered or used by Hamas. There needs to be fiat outlets for buying coins, and it's not really hard to track. Even if you use mixers, it's not really that hard to track the path of crypto. Some people are pretending to be outraged by this because, they're just freezing random accounts that might be associated with Hamas. But I am pretty sure that they are actually tracking the movement of money, and they can shut off those crypto funds. Not something that we like to hear, but it is Hamas, so I'm okay with them shutting off the Hamas accounts. And Binance has also frozen the Hamas-related accounts on Binance, obviously. Binance has to comply with international regulations. Hamas is a terrorist organization. according to most of the world. So anything that's actually related to them, especially in the light of this new Israeli crisis, is actually going to be frozen. I know most Americans are on Israel's side. I don't really care which side you're on this. They are doing the right thing by freezing the accounts. And given the fact that they've gotten in so much trouble over their stance for Russia, I definitely think Binance is making the best choice, especially for their investors. So I do think like you'll see Binance toe the line more and more in terms of international sanctions. But right now, Hamas, I think eventually all of Palestine is probably going to be shut off from crypto. That's very bad for the people of Palestine. But for the rest of the crypto market, it's probably not significant. However, obviously, this war can definitely impact crypto prices as it will impact the world economy and probably oil supply and demand lines as a whole. So that's what I have to say for today. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.